And we're going to move the program on now to the executive branch. And you've heard some comments about the executive branch and what's going on there. The Department of Health and the Office for Aging are two of our primary agencies dealing in these areas. And so the deputy commissioner of the Department of Health on Aging and Long-Term Care, Adam Herbst, is stuck in an executive session. Go figure. But we are very lucky to have someone here that has a deep background in the issues that we're talking about today. She served as the executive director of the Home Care Association of New York State. And it's funny, Carol, I wrote a paper many years ago and I was reviewing it when the Balanced Budget Act passed, and you're quoted several times. You're footnote 53 in my paper. So Carol Rodat, come on up and take the podium. Carol has a wealth of knowledge and is an advocate in this area. She is working now with Adam Herbst, and what we're going to hear about today is Governor Hochul's master plan on aging. Carol.
Thank you, Lou. Oh, that light is very, very bright. First of all, I just want to thank the legislators for their responses to the questions. Assemblyman Kim, it's nice to see you with your daughters here. Lou, congratulations on another elder law forum that's very successful. I actually believe I was at one of the first ones, at least one of the first 5 for sure. Let me start by giving you very sincere apologies from Adam Herbst, the Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Health. He is over the Office of Aging and Long-Term Care, and he very much wanted to be here. Unfortunately, he was called into a team meeting with the governor, and he could not say no. So he wanted to be here, but he is not. So my apologies. And this is actually his presentation that I will be taking you through. Okay. Oh, Lou's going to do the honors for me. Great. Or you want?
And they're going to put the slides up. There we are.
Okay. First, let me just say that I will be happy to be sharing the program this morning with Greg Olson, who's the director of the State Office for Aging and who is our partner in the Master Plan for Aging, and I will be talking about that as well. Do I need to? Thank you all. Okay, I'll start with a budget overview. These were the increases that were referenced earlier by the legislators. The hospital Medicaid rate increases you can see here. You can also see the nursing facilities and assisted living. The facilities asked for more. The nursing homes may get up to 7%, but they do get at least 6.5%. There's also another statewide transformation program with millions of dollars available to both facilities as well as other organizations. There have been 127 projects already funded that are many of which are actually community-based. And you can see here that we are looking to fund those projects that are alternatives to the normal nursing home delivery of care that are much more home-like. We will also be looking to fund IT, telehealth, and other modernization efforts on the part of facilities. Everyone should take a look at the budget if you have not, or work with your associations because that language is quite broad. I wanted to touch on the long-term care workforce initiatives. In a minute, I'll show you a slide that details the increases for the workers. I also want to touch on the fact that in terms of the increasing costs to run facilities and the closed units in nursing homes, what we see over and over again is the increasing cost of labor, largely what's called temporary healthcare staffing agencies, also known as the agencies that provide travel nurses. Sometimes more than double what the agency cost is of what they were paying, what the facility was paying before that time. And it's good for those nurses that are travel nurses, but not necessarily so good for the facilities. We also have $100 million on the street right now for additional training for facilities. And we have a cost of living adjustment for human service workers, which is a 4% cost of living adjustment. Now, those are the new items. The next ones are items that were in prior year budgets that I think are worth mentioning. First is our doctors and nurses across New York, which provides stipends and some loan forgiveness for doctors and nurses. And I am happy to say that I'm here with my colleague, Lisa Weber, who's in the back from the Department of Health. And the two of us have responsibility for designing a $39 million program for training of home care workers and CNAs. We are looking to put together a request for proposals that will create training centers throughout this state in every economic development region where the training will be free and the trainees will receive a stipend while they are taking the training. Their travel costs will be covered. They will receive referral for jobs as well as other kinds of supports for benefits. And by the way, several times this morning, there's been mention of the immigrant labor pool. We are also looking at that pool to see how they might be encouraged and for appropriate placement in home care. And I think I just lost the, lost the slide. There we go. Okay. Wait a minute. Back to this. We also have some ongoing issues for both those workers that are in SUNY and direct support professionals. That is the title that is used for people who work with those who have intellectual disabilities. Thank you, Greg. And the mental health. One other thing I want to mention about the caregiver flexibility, the 39 million, is we are also going to open that up to all types of approved programs, whether they are in BOCES or whether they in the provider sector. And we are looking for them to create maps for the trainees to other kinds of healthcare jobs in the future and connections to other colleges. Okay, these are the home care worker wages. The reason I did it this way so that you could see the out years, you could see the difference in upstate, downstate, and at the bottom, the legislators referenced the differential between the minimum wage and the home care worker wage. It turned out this was very important to the workers. They do not want to be considered at the bottom rung of the ladder. So time will only tell us whether or not this is sufficient. I will say about the home care workforce, it has rebounded to its pre-pandemic levels and a little bit beyond. However, it is probably not where it needs to be, that is for sure, and we see data that confirms that. So I wanted to talk about some of the other provisions in the budget that pertain directly to elder care. One is we changed the threshold for private pay so that a greater number of individuals will be eligible to private pay for services. We're expanding Medicaid buy-in for people with disabilities. There's an increase in supportive housing. Material transactions transparency. Boy, doesn't that sound like a bureaucratic phrase. For the many who may not know what that means at all, and frankly, there's a lot of text that explains it. Let me boil it down for you. When the not-for-profit sector sells out or changes ownership to the for-profit and private equity, we now have provisions that require a lot of reporting so that there will be transparency as we watch the changes in our healthcare system, which are very important, by the way. Manage long-term care performance measures. The previous panel mentioned managed long-term care and managed care. One of the things that, and I won't take too much time going through all these performance measures, but one of the things I do want to emphasize, because you talked this morning, there was a question about Medicare and Medicaid. we are really advocating for the integration of Medicare and Medicaid in managed care. Why? Because you actually are covering all the services, and the state can share in those savings that they are able to claim through better care management. And I am particularly interested in the fact that there are plans for the home care aides to be a more important factor in observing and reporting changes in condition of their patients. Quality improvement money for the managed long-term care plans. This is an additional bump for the home care benefit plan that was also talked about by Assemblyman Kim, and it underwrites some of the changes to the home care worker benefit structure for those that are unionized downstate. And last and not least, there's the potential for penalties for any time an insurer or an employer fails to provide the Department of Health with the information requested on the rates of payment that the employer gets from the plan and the rate that the aide is paid. Okay, a little quick run through of the Office of Aging and Long-Term Care. This is our vision, and you will recall that Assemblyman Kim talked about a constitutional amendment. It's our vision to make sure that people can age in place as long as possible with access to quality services, to live with dignity, independence, and health. And I'll try to take you through the master plan in a moment that echoes these very concepts and objectives. This is a quick overview of our office. We have 6 different centers. There are likely to be at least 2 more added to this plan. We have data, we have licensure, we have operations and surveillance, which is also enforcement. I work most closely with the Center for Regulatory and Policy Initiatives, which is where we also have our master plan for aging housed. And we also have a Center for Finance, which handles the transformation grants, as well as the waiver programs, nursing home transition and diversion, and traumatic brain injury. Don't worry, if anyone needs this, you can see me afterwards and I'll make sure that you have it. On November the 4th, the governor signed Executive Order 23, requiring that the state develop a master plan for aging, which will be a blueprint of strategies over the next 10 years. This master plan will be due by January the 9th, 2024. It will be on a public website. It will be updated. It will have metrics. Why do we need one? I'm not sure I need to go through this particular slide. We need one because we have changing demographics. By the way, there's been a lot of talk this morning about the lack of workers. The year was 2010 when the X, I always like to do the X, when the number of people in the age range who were likely to need services exceeded the number of working age people. 2010. So we knew this problem was coming. Okay, this is our master plan for aging structure. Do not leave today without taking home this message. I urge all of you to get involved in some way in the master plan. How can you get involved? You can join a subcommittee, you can join a work group, you can come to our town hall meetings, you can take our survey, which SOFA has been very active in helping us develop and shaping, because they do a regular survey, they do an annual survey, they do a more comprehensive survey. I believe it's every, what, 4 years, 6 years, one of those. At any rate, we have 6 subcommittees, which you see right below the State Agency Council and the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. The ultimate recommendations are made. They go from the Stakeholder Advisory to the State Agency Council and up to the governor. And then we have work groups, and you will see below we will be having our first town hall hopefully the end of this month in New York City. The remaining ones will be scheduled over the summer throughout the state. Some of them will be online, so there will be an opportunity for all of you to get involved. And we have a public website, which I'll show you in just a moment, and a newsletter. Here's where we are. This is our timeline. So at this point in time, we have held, as of 12 o'clock today, we will have held the first subcommittee meeting of every one of the subcommittees. Long-term services and supports are meeting today between 10 and 12. And so we are up and running. We have it going. For those of you who need this particular PowerPoint, you can also see me and I'll make sure you get it. So we're all headed towards January 2025. January the 9th is our date that we have to have this report ready. Okay, that's just another overview of the subcommittees. There's cross-cutting issues that are very, very important. We have the State Office for Aging staff who represents diversity, equity, inclusion, who sits on every subcommittee and guides us and all of our members. We are building on age-friendly initiatives. New York State was the first age-friendly state, of which we are very proud, but we want to continue that record. We are careful and attentive to sexual orientation and gender. The geography, there is a very great attention to upstate, downstate, rural, suburban, urban. We've made sure that the leads of those subcommittees are representative of different parts of the state, transportation, technology, workforce. Let me just underscore the fact that the caregiver subcommittees are divided into formal and informal. So there'll be recommendations for family caregivers to support family caregivers as well as the paid workforce. And last and not least is training and education. Here are two important website addresses. The first is where you can send questions, and any volunteer, any of those that do want to volunteer should send it to the mpa@health.ny.gov. And to stay up to date, you can see the other website is ny.gov/MPA.